Yesterday I was talking to somebody, and she said something that just, when I heard it, I'm like, oh, that's a good way of putting it. That's a good way of putting it. And I even told her, I said, that's a video title. I said, I'm gonna borrow that. So thank you, Suzie. Thank you, Suzie, for the inspiration. What Suzie told me was, sometimes you just gotta let those words roll off of you. Sometimes you just gotta let people's words roll off of you. When she said that to me, I was seeing something in a vision in my mind, right? I saw a word coming out like, okay, for instance, Jesus calls words seeds, but also we know that the enemy has what's called fiery darts that are launched at you, right? Well, anyway, because faith comes by hearing. Faith comes by hearing. You might be hearing the wrong stuff, and you'll build your faith in the wrong stuff. Like, I had a whole lot of faith in condemnation. I had a whole lot of faith in condemnation in the past. And that condemnation became one with me. Because I kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. And condemnation was not ricocheting off of my ears. And condemnation didn't do the very thing that I saw in vision last night. What I saw is when Suzie told me about letting words just roll off of you, I saw like a bullet. Instead of the bullet hitting my ear, ricocheting or hitting my ear and getting into there, because the words you want to not penetrate, you want to let them roll off, right? Because some of those words are very heavy. They might not ping and just bounce off of you. They might just do this. Shoo! They hit your ear. They splattered into like a lump. And then it just rolled down the side of you, and here it is on your shoulder, and you just boom, boom, roll it off. Another word, splat, drops, rolls down your shoulder, and you just dust it off. Dust it off. Because condemnation is more than just a bullet. It's like this hand grenade, right? I think condemnation penetrated our ears, sank down into our hearts, filling our soil full of weeds. How do you get rid of weeds? I should know. I pulled weeds all my childhood life. We lived on the east side of San Diego in a little town called Lakeside, East County. Had a property that was almost 2 acres. And this property was a fire hazard because if you know San Diego at all, we're known for our fires. People ask me, I moved to the East Coast for 2 years of my life. That was the only time I ever moved away from San Diego. for 2 years, the East Coast. Went out to a place called Connecticut. And that was back in 2012 to 2014. People asked me, what was it like living in California? All those earthquakes. I felt earthquakes before, but nothing that ever scared me. But I'll tell you what, seen a bunch of fires, and living on that property where I grew up, there were fires because there was a mountain. There were lots of mountains behind our house. We lived at the bottom of a mountain, large piece of property, and those mountains, they led up to a place called Barona. Have you ever heard of Barona Casino? It's a big casino out here in the East County of San Diego. So those mountains would go on fire all the time. And wow, talk about, working with the firemen to put those fires out when they'd come. Well, anyway, so to get rid of a fire hazard, you need to pull the weeds. I wonder if this is speaking metaphorically. I didn't plan on saying any of this stuff just now. It's just flowing. That's pretty, anyway, to prevent fire hazard, you want to pull weeds. Of course, one great way to get rid of weeds is that fire. That fire will get rid of weeds, but the problem was those weeds made the fire travel toward our home. Do you understand? And we do not want our home to burn down. I would have much rather a fire burn down the weeds than me having to go outside and pull them. Listen, you don't take a tool and chop a weed off so that you don't see it. Oh, look at it, it's gone. Because you don't see it no more, because you got the surface of it. No way. To get rid of that weed, it has to be uprooted. It has to be uprooted. You just cut the surface of that weed, that doesn't work. You have to uproot them. Now fire will definitely wreck that whole entire thing. Fire doesn't just get the surface, it goes deep, it burns. It catches that weed and goes right down to its root. Gone. But didn't want that fire to come burn down our home. I hated pulling weeds. I hated it so much. I would sneeze, my eyes would turn red, I would sneeze and be stuffed up in my nose. So then my parents had to get me on allergy medication because, that's what kids are for, pulling weeds. My stepdad told me so. So yeah, he used to even, he's from Germany, right? You're just faking it. You're just faking it. You're pretending to be sick. Well, I wasn't pretending. I was very allergic to that property out there, the air out there and all that. I live by the ocean now. And man, I breathe way better. I don't even know if I have any allergies anymore. I don't even like declaring stuff like that. Right? By his stripes, I'm healed. By his stripes, I'm healed. By his stripes, I'm delivered. You just need to keep on believing. Those are good words to keep hearing. Let those words go into your ear. And if those are heavy words for you to receive, well, let them roll into your ear so that they would roll down into the soil of your heart, of your soul, right? And then let the sunlight hit those words and let the waters help them to grow, refresh, bring life. So those words will be like seeds and start to grow and manifest. Whoa, everything in my body that I needed healing for, where did it go? Because you truly believed that by his stripes, you not only are healed, But you already were. It was already yours. Because Peter says we were healed by his stripes. Because it's already yours. So now your heart, your soul, your mind is believing. And when it is believed, you will see the manifestation. But there's another thing. Condemnation. That word that comes to your ear and wants to sink into the soil of your heart and put a stop to you. Condemnation. When you let that get into your ear and it rolls down, because condemnation's a big, heavy word, and you let that get into the soil of your heart and you nourish that condemnation, you cultivate it. I mean, I'm going to tell you what. Forget what I just said about nourishing and cultivating. Let me tell you something about weeds. For weeds to grow on my parents' property when I was growing up as a child, do you know, you don't have to do a thing. You don't have to go out like you do with plants. Plants need nourishing. Plants need taking care of. Plants need watering. They need all this stuff, this care, so they won't die. Weeds, they don't need people's care. I didn't have to do anything to cultivate weeds on our property. They just kept on showing up and multiplying. Do you understand this? So, no cultivating. But when those words of condemnation get in you, they will be like seeds, and they'll multiply and they'll grow rapidly. And if you believe this condemnation, what happens? Weeds everywhere, weeds everywhere. And what happens to you? I was telling you that when you let the words, by his stripes, you were healed. When you let those words be cultivated, be watered, let the sun, S-O-N, light, shine brightly. Manifestation, healing. But if you are not pulling, uprooting those weeds of condemnation from your soil, what happens? The manifestation of condemnation. Condemnation says you deserve to be sick. Here comes sickness. Condemnation says you deserve to be depressed. Here comes depression. Condemnation says you deserve to die. Here comes thoughts of suicide. On and on it goes. Because those words somehow got in. You need to solidify yourself, to be grounded and founded, and know that it was all by grace that you receive no condemnation. It's not by your works, it's by his grace, because you're in Christ. How'd you get in Christ? By believing. By believing in him. And I'm not talking about just his existence. I hope you know that. Because even the devil and the demons and the fallen angels, they all believe in his existence. But they don't put their trust and faith in him. Putting your trust and faith equals believing. Did you know that? You need to be so solid in your foundation. And once you become solid in your foundation, that it is by grace and grace alone, not of anything that you have performed or done for God. If you still have that mentality, if I do something for God, he'll do something for me, get rid of it. Because if you have that mentality, condemnation will surely creep into your ear. The enemy knows how to get it in there. When you're solid in your faith, when you are established in your faith, which is him, he is your faith. So when you trust in him, your faith is his faith. Your belief is him. You understand? It's all sealed in him. Condemnation won't be able to get in you. See, you're fully armored now. Your ears are protected by a helmet. You also have a shield. You have a sword. The enemy shoots these things at you, and it just splat, can't get into your ear. That giant word of condemnation, splat, it wanted to get in there, but it just rolls like a clump. Just got to let it roll off of you. And if it doesn't roll all the way off, just kind of take your hand and flick it off your shoulder like that. Thank you, Suzie, for the inspiration. And I hope this message has blessed each and every one of you, because we surely are learning a lot about hearing this year in 2020. 2020. You want 2020 vision? Make sure you're hearing right. Make sure you're hearing right, because we live by faith, not by our physical sight. So your faith sight comes how? By what you're hearing, by what you're allowing to go into there and sink in and become one with you. And if you got weeds to pull, well, that's what we're doing on this channel. And I just hope we uprooted a bunch of those weeds today. I love you guys. God bless you guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.